Welcome to the MSDW Podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at msdynamicsworld.com. On this episode, sponsored by Formpipe, we will be listening in on a recent conversation all about the latest trends in output and document management for Dynamics 365 between Lennart Garbarsch, CEO of Tabellae, a Microsoft and LaserNet partner, and Formpipe's Ben Saxton. Lennart explains that his team still sees a vast amount of physical paper in need of digitization today, and much of that document and output management requires specialized planning, whether to address legislation, industry standards, or other market demands in areas like supply chain. Ben and Lennart discuss some particular legislative challenges, but they don't ignore the human side of a transition to digital around the project execution and the roles of the workers who must embrace these changes. And Lennart offers his outlook on the near future. Technology like OCR continues to progress, he says, and open up new opportunities, while industry needs in retail, logistics, consumer goods, and more are pushing document automation deployments into more corners of the organization. Here are Ben and Lennart.
So let's move on to the main topic of the podcast, which is us looking ahead and trying to get ahead of the curve, really, because we're asking the question of what is next in output management. Now, we normally find that the developments are brought to us by new technology, and we look at that technology and think, how can we enhance our product or solution to bring further advancements to our clients? Or those developments are brought by the clients themselves who bring a common challenge or need within their organization or industry, and then we look at how we can meet that. So, Lennart, given the breadth of different industries that Tabellae work within, what do you see as being that next trend coming within output management?
Actually, I was expecting things to be more standardized in the past, and I'm still a little bit. I still think that we have a lot of doing standardizations, but what I do see is that all the different kind of formats out there for business documents, they will still be kept alive. And I see a number of transactions are actually moving from physical print and from paper to more electronic formats. But the number of different formats, it seems to stay in the market, because within every single industry, there will be a lot of special elements that we need to take care of when we are talking about business documents. Also, I see a lot of legislations going on. For example, in Mexico, in Italy, and in China, there's a lot of legislations going on regarding formats, regarding centralized formats, and also centralized channels of the business documents. They go to a single hub, and then they go to the supplier. So there's a lot of different needs out there, having a ERP solution that have to communicate with a lot of customers around the globe. There's still a lot of varieties in formats, channels, legislations, but also in different needs in different industries. And luckily, that's exactly what we do at Tabellae. We help organizations roll out the global output management solutions. And from a US point of view, we are seeing that a lot of customers actually are moving from paper-based communication to more electronic-based communication. And that's actually what we support with the output management package, but also with some archiving and all kind of integration to various portals and stuff like that. We are in the space between the ERP system and the vendors and the suppliers, and it seems like we will, even though things are getting more standardized, theoretically speaking, it seems like we are getting more and more jobs in the space between the ERP solution and the suppliers and the customers.
Legislation is always such an interesting one, because we get exposed to so much of it, don't we, in our jobs, and then when you do read the pertinent points, the main points of legislation, they tend to be actually quite similar across the different territories, just maybe written in a different way. So I understand your point completely. I pick up on your point as well of moving from paper to digital. I mean, given what we've been through over the last 2.5 years, I think that has been accelerated by the pandemic. You know, we've seen some projects that I think probably would have been 2023 or 2024 projects shifted forward. And a lot of that is not always due to the ERP, but it's based upon the control of the document or the object that is created. and the need to be able to share that either internally or also externally with like customers and suppliers. And one thing that you pick up on there with the efficiency that we then bring to those projects with things like, e-signature, where people want almost a complete solution. Do you see a shift in people wanting to move all of their business workflows into one common platform?
Actually, when we're talking about Microsoft Dynamics and Dynamics Business Central and F&O, they are moving to the cloud. They tend to be more standardized. They tend to be more less programming and a need for less programming. So we see that the companies, they're trying to centralize their setup to the cloud, to the Microsoft platform, and luckily that's actually a trend that is carrying on and that will move on, but every industry, they need some kind of modifications to that. And also they will not move to the cloud immediately. There will probably be some host applications and some old platforms that are based on the ground that also need to be connected to the applications in the cloud. So it will be actually a mix between different platforms and different in specialities in various formats. So in this space, an area between a centralized platform and the real world, there will be a lot of modifications to be done. Luckily, we don't need to program anything in the host applications, and that's actually one of the main points, because that's not a good religion right now to do modifications and encode the host applications.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because we all talk about this, and I feel quite strongly that if you do invest in such a core platform like Dynamics, then really you're not only buying software there, you're buying best practice. Yeah, you're buying a way of running that organization and the processes. And when you then couple that with moving to the cloud, you really are shifting that business and the way that you run it to safeguard it for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Do you see that we also have to help people along that journey to reassure them in that move, and especially the move to the cloud, to make them feel comfortable?
Yeah, we help them in many ways. First of all, we have a lot of user stories to tell, so they can relax a little bit. But more importantly is that we actually do have best practices for that. So we can actually take some risk out of the ERP implementation. And the way we take risk out of implementation is because we have a standardized way to adapt to the business documents they need. So we don't need to do that much modifications. So, and that also means that with our best practices implementation and our best practices standardized documents, we can get the customer quite fast up to speed without any need for programming or modifications. And then they can actually start the implementation of the Dynamics platform, and just in more sprints, they can just work and modify the documents along the way. So when they go to UAT or when they go live, they will actually have a product that has been it started from 60% and not on 0%. It started on 60%, and we can actually work on the last 40% we need in order to put the solution into production. And that will take a lot of risk out of the overall ERP implementation. Taking risk out, that's a very interesting keyword for the customers.
Completely. It's reassurance, isn't it? Reassurance that they're going to be okay with this project. Yeah. And Lennart, that's across all territories and all industries, I presume. Yeah.
But especially when we're talking about with a little more complex customers that typically have more than one, perhaps they're working in more countries, and they have probably more brands, and also they have more setups in Dynamics. They are very up to output management solution. If it's it's a very simple and very small customer, they might find some other ways to do things. But on the Microsoft platform, it tends to get bigger customers attracted to the platform. So that's actually where we fit very much into that space.
Superb. Yeah. And I can imagine if you're, as a client, if you're heading into one of these projects, you're trying to, like you've identified there, you're trying to eliminate additional risk all the time. Yeah, you're trying to squash those red flags down. As you know, I come from more of a document and controlled document point of view due to the industries that I know quite well. I think it's also worthwhile as touching on a few of the areas where I know you've got good knowledge, which are a little bit faster paced. So maybe you could give us a little bit of an insight into what you think might be coming next up, the next big trend in those faster moving industries, such as the logistics side, or maybe the FMCG and retail side, where we've got documentation that needs to go. It needs to go out to the client. And if it doesn't, it does hold back either the shipping of product. And I'm thinking here, like, production related documentation and labels. So is there a specific trend you see in that area?
Actually, I see the need for integrating to more systems and also to more portals. Today, it's very important that the end customer, they can actually follow everything online. They can even see their documents online. They can produce labels online. They can get access to older documents, but also get access to the right documentation. So connecting business documents with portals, with manuals, with more information, that's a trend. And it might look like the landscape will then be a little bit more complex, but that's not the case actually, because it's in a very standardized way, and the customers simply expect to have online access without asking anybody. They should be able to access stuff and documents immediately.
It's funny in business, Lennart, isn't it? Really, ultimately, everything comes back to that customer. Yeah, we're focusing on the customer in the way that they use the documents that our clients are providing, or they're using the data that we're also spinning out of the output. Well, I think from a future point of view, I think that single view of content and documents is one of the big trends coming. I think that's pushed for by end clients as well as the organizations that we work with. And it's not just the customer facing documentation either. It could be internal documents. And when you look at new technology developments, I look at something like OCR and where that's come over the last 2, 3, 5 years. And what we can now achieve from an efficiency point of view can really help the clients as well to gain that single view. Is that something that you see also?
Yeah, we have delivered OCR solutions for many years, especially in terms of taking data out of incoming invoices. But we see now the phase 2, and that is actually taking data out of incoming purchase orders from the customers. So the business case here might be much bigger than the invoice scanning solution, because taking out the data from purchase orders might eliminate a lot of time for manual handling of the document, but also improve the quality. So what we do is that we get these purchase orders in various formats, EDI, XML, but also PDF. And in Germany, sometimes it's even scanned documents from fax. We extract the data, convert it to an in-house Microsoft format, and deliver it directly into the Dynamics. And that is actually one of the first steps in order to automate a lot of the processes in delivering the goods to the clients.
Yeah, and again, that step also eliminates some risk of error during human handling, doesn't it?
Exactly, and from a software point of view, what we deliver is the LaserNet output management and LaserNet input management, and actually it can be used for many more tasks than what it was intended for in the first place. So we see a lot of the invoice management solutions that were intended for invoice management. They are now being used for logistics, for the purchase orders, for example, but also for packing clips with signatures. We can scan it in. We can automate the storing of these packing slips as well. So use the same software for more than one thing. That's actually a combination of best of breed and best of suite.
I like it. Very good. And regardless of the software, isn't it interesting that no matter what, we always come back and we're focusing on that client need. Okay, we're trying to improve their world at all times. And I think if we can keep that focus, then the technology will have technology advancements that we see will always improve the solution. Lennart, as ever, it's a pleasure. I think that beer in Copenhagen is only a few months away now with us being allowed to fly. So thank you as ever for your time and your insights into the industry.
Thank you very much for your time, and have a fantastic day.
This has been another episode of the MSDW Podcast. For more information on Formpipe, please visit www.formpipe.com or contact them at sales@formpipe.com. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, send me an email, jgumpert@msdynamicsworld.com. Please follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter for all of our updates. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.